with Hertz has become a nightmare for Elon Musk and Tesla. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show and would like daily shows to help you in your investing and trading process, please join us on Patreon. Also, this is a copyrighted show. Anything said here is private and confidential without written permission to use this material. So I would, obviously the Hertz situation is still impacting Tesla's stock price. And we wanted to throw out a few ideas to try to better understand why it is that Elon is fairly unhappy with the deal and what's going on. So, as you know, the 100,000 vehicles agreed upon to be sold to Hertz is a deal structure that Tesla came up with along with the negotiators at Hertz. Now, in my mind, this should be a happy circumstances. The specs on the cars are the same, so they'll be easier to produce if it's just maybe a color change, but the vehicles are all the same. There are a lot of benefits that go with this to Tesla. Guaranteed number of sales, that's predictable. There are definitely a lot of good reasons to sell these vehicles. Plus, it helps fill up your pipeline nicely. So this brings up the question, why is Elon considering bailing and a plan B here? There is something I want to call the $341 problem that it seems to me nobody kind of told Elon about. And so what that is that there's a situation where perhaps a third of the vehicles will stay in the fleet of Hertz, but the disaster problem that pops up is that the Uber rentals by Hertz create a very interesting problem for Elon mathematically. So the question is, what is that problem created? Well, the problem created is the fact that I had a friend of mine who, when I posted the message that Hertz would be renting these vehicles out, and we knew that the number is $341 a week for an Uber driver to rent this vehicle, a friend of mine sent me a note and he said, somebody's making a killing off of this. And the reason is that with $5,000 down, it's about $550 a month to buy a Tesla. So in theory, if you kind of spread the $5,000 over 36 months, basically you get a Tesla for $650 a month, perhaps, maybe $700 if there was no down. So the question I think that's created a problem for Elon is, now wait a second, we're selling this car for, call it $700 a month, and then if you multiply $341 times 4, basically that's, call it some months are 4, some months are, 5 weeks. So in essence, what's happening is, in theory, let's say it's $1,400 a month that Hertz gets from leasing the car, or Hertz/Uber gets from leasing the car to Uber drivers. There's a whole bunch of profit there, like double, that disappears into the coffers of other companies. So I really feel that what's happening here is Elon was kind of caught off guard by how this whole thing is going to be managed and work. And that is, I think there's a huge question. Why should we make half the money when we can cut out the middleman and do it ourselves? So what this question means then is, why should we bother selling the cars to Hertz and letting Uber lease from them when we can actually sell the cars or lease the cars to the Uber drivers ourselves via an Uber deal or a Lyft deal or something like that, and we can double how much we make per vehicle? And so this is a very interesting question, especially because it's now been announced that Avis is negotiating with Tesla as well to get vehicles in their fleet. And this back end whip of leasing out to other entities, on a long-term basis that Hertz had planned is very innovative and bright, but it reduces Tesla's overall take. So the other thing as I really thought this through was, well, wait a second here. I think the problem is Elon is saying it takes really hard work to build these vehicles. Why should we take a fraction of the profits? I mean, because theoretically, depending how those leases work, that number could crank up into the $1,600 a month zone. And again, Tesla is still down at the $500 a month that they take from having produced the vehicle. So why should Tesla allow financial engineering to have the lion's share of the profits go to other companies? And I think this is a great question that has to be answered successfully for people to be happy, namely Tesla, or Elon in this case. So I'd be stunned if the deal wasn't iced, but the stunning part for me is that Elon is stunned by the innovation and the fact that they're leaving so much money on the table, and he's got to figure out a way to acquire some of that cash for Tesla, which could show up in many different ways: renegotiation, what the price is, canceling the deal entirely if he can, making sure he does a different deal with other entities. Something has got to give here. Now, the reason why we kind of came up with this idea is that if you read the South China Post, there's actually an article there about a company a year and a half ago that actually did the same thing. They started buying Teslas in large quantities and leasing them to other individuals and or selling them. And Tesla was not happy about this and sort of sued and forced a cancellation of the deal that consumers were doing with this company. And so I was kind of surprised when the Hertz plan came up, because Elon has seemed to want to have control and find ways to control an optimization of the profitability that's experienced on any deal that involves Tesla. So a lot of folks on our channel have said, hey, forget about it. This deal is a done deal. Everything's going to work as described. Otherwise, potentially, obviously, you get sued. But I really think that Elon could voice his displeasure in many ways. For example, what if he put Hertz at the back of the line to get more vehicles based on what they've already gotten, et cetera? So he has pressure points he can apply to force a new deal and potentially get more money from Tesla. But now that Avis is coming on and other entities will be arriving looking for similar types of deals, he has all kinds of leverage to play around with if and when more vehicles are handed over to Hertz in the process. So I'm really looking forward to how this plays out. But all of it is good for Tesla because it just shows there's huge demand for their vehicles. And I think it's going to be a very profitable thing for Tesla, short and long term. It's just that Elon wants to make sure that Tesla gets the lion's share of the profit for any deal it does. And he may have been outflanked here, but he has ways to renegotiate a better transaction for Tesla. The problem right now with the stock is the market doesn't like uncertainty. So what Elon is doing, introduces uncertainty, but it also suggests that they also like companies that are good for their word. So if Tesla chooses not to execute as described, it's a bad look in terms of the company's short and long-term future to execute in that fashion. So I'm hopeful that he'll stick to the terms and get it done, but we don't know. But I'd have to say that $1,000 a month extra per car for Tesla is a lot of money to fight over and worth Elon's efforts to modify the deal to get that done. I look forward to your comments on this. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. A reminder, we have some SpaceX shares if there's interest. Also wanted to encourage you to consider our health tips for the day, which is no lovemaking prior to a large meal. Try to do a salad or something prior, which will keep the blood flow at the best state for enjoyment. At any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss German, au revoir French, Lehithroad Hebrew, Choda Hafiz Farsi, Straz, which is Russian, hello, До vidanya, goodbye, namaste Hindi, and arrivederci Italian, asante Swahili, and in Jamaica we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us, have a great day, and bye for now.